They're also the 2-time reigning champs. But they have a way about them that they just feel so beatable. And I think you get lulled into the thought that they're beatable. And realistically, they might not be right now. And the 49ers certainly aren't the team that are going to beat them. And Brock Purdy is certainly not the quarterback that's going to beat them right now. And
He was
Kyle Shanahan is not the coach that's going to beat them.
And here's where I'm at with all this. There's so much to dig into with this.
There is.
But David Lombardi, who covers the 49ers for the SF Standard, I think is where he's at now.
Okay.
Very optimistic view of the team at all times with his coverage. Was quick to point out, well, hey, 2022, the 49ers were 3-4 after week 7, and they lost to the Chiefs in week 7. This year, 3-4 after week 7 with a loss to the Chiefs in week 7. Miss me, dude.
Yeah.
Miss me with that.
Yeah.
This team is way more 2020 than 2022 because that 2022 team in that week 7 game against the Chiefs had just gotten Christian McCaffrey. That was Christian McCaffrey's first game. The 49ers rattled off 10 wins in a row after that loss to the Chiefs. This year's 49ers team is not going to have Brandon Ayuk. They do not have D'Amico Ryans, who at that time was the best defensive coordinator in football. They do not have Christian McCaffrey at this moment. Their defense is not close to as good. It's just top to bottom. Is their pass rush isn't as good. Their linebacker play isn't as good. Their safety play isn't as good. Not as good of a team. Flat out. So to point to that and go, well, hey, they were in this exact same scenario. Everything's fine. It's not, dude. It is not fine. There is nothing that's happened through. Do you know who they beat? They beat the 2-5 Jets. They beat the 1-6 Patriots.
Oof.
And they beat the
Seahawks.
What are the Seahawks now? 4-3?
4-3.
4-3? Yeah, the 4-3 Seahawks. Nice. Good work. Cool. They're just not that good, dude. Like maybe it's Christian McCaffrey. Maybe it's Dre Greenlaw being out. I don't know, but there's nothing through 7 weeks. I don't. Through the first couple of weeks, I was happy to lean on. Well, look at last year. Look at the last couple of years. They're going to be fine. They're going to right the ship. We're 7 weeks in. We're 7 weeks into this, and they've not figured out how to close a game. How to make the Chiefs yesterday did not play great. Their defense was awesome, but offensively they didn't play great. I thought Patrick Mahomes, same thing you always talk about, missing throws, looked indecisive at times.
It's just not great.
But
yeah,
when it came down to, hey, they need a play, they can put I thought his 33-yard run down the sideline was kind of the dagger. They need that play, boom, he's going to make it. Huge third down, hey, he's going to figure out a way to make that throw or scramble for a first down. They made winning plays when they needed to make them, and the 49ers did the opposite, the same way they have basically all season.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of concern. Not only, we'll dive into the injury issues, but just overall, the same exact things keep rearing their heads. Number one, like first and foremost, Brock Purdy does not look like a quarterback who can bring a team back and beat somebody.
Yes.
Still.
1,000%.
And now we've gotten to a point where that's an issue. It's no longer like, hey, he could grow out of this. This is like an issue that you need to have strong conversations about.
Yep.
And on top of that, the unoriginal play calling, Kyle, watching Andy Reid is like watching a grandmaster, painter. Like he just, what he does is so incredible. You're like the weird, crazy play where they snapped it to somebody other than Patrick Mahomes. And I think
it was a direct snap to Kareem Hunt with Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz in 3-point stances in the backfield.
Yeah. And it did not, it didn't score a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. But what it does is it like messes everything up. And now you're so confused. Is he going to have like that weird tight end screen where Mahomes just steps back and then flicks it to Kelsey for the touchdown? Are they going to give it to Kareem Hunt to like run you over? Is he going to step back, fake, and then run up the middle? Like there's so many options. The 49ers get to the 5-yard line and it's like, this is so dreadful. I don't know what sort of cartoon, like coloring book you're working with here. but it's the same basic trash every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And they are so bad in the red area
Mm-hmm.
that you're just looking at, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's so basic. And that he's been this way his entire time as the head coach of the 49ers. When he gets in the red zone, it is nothing but basic.
So I disagree with that, actually. I think he's been really, really good as a play designer and play caller. They were first in the league in scoring red zone touchdowns last year.
No, okay.
This has not been a problem until this year. And to your point, we saw glimpses of it yesterday. After Brandon Ayuk got hurt, you saw glimpses of, oh, that was a fun little run design. Like, oh, that was kind of interesting. The QB sneak that Purdy scored on, where he takes a snap and the two guards pull, and then he just follows the center who has to take on a linebacker. That's a fun design.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different. That creates some chaos. And to your point about Andy Reid is like, screw it. He ran a play. I wish I could remember the exact circumstances, but it was like something along the lines of, don't quote me on this, like a security guard came up to him and was like, hey, I thought about this. And Andy Reid was like, let's try it. He lets their dudes, and this has been a critique I've had of Kyle Shanahan for years now. Andy Reid and other coaches, but we're going to use Andy Reid because he's relevant to this conversation right now. He lets his dudes be dudes. Like, he just lets players play. When Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney or whoever it was lined up in the wrong place in the Super Bowl, it is not timeout, get that guy off the field, he's not going to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's, hey, Patrick, go make the play work. Understand the offense, understand what's going to happen with that guy lined up in the wrong spot, and make the play work. And they scored a touchdown on that play where they weren't even lined up properly. And I think that's the thing missing. And it's really interesting because I asked it. We had Kyle Juszczyk on Candlestick Chronicles,
mm-hmm.
and I told him, like, hey man, I work in sports talk radio. I hear the most insane things about Kyle Shanahan. I want to know from a player what makes him a good coach. Why do you think Kyle Shanahan is a good coach? And he talked about how he's a player's coach. He does such a good job of building those personal relationships with players where, like, you're homies, but he's going to hold you accountable and you're going to hold him accountable. And there's that relationship where he's the coach for sure, but he's also, like, there's a human element to it. Yet that doesn't translate to the field somehow. Because the only way Jacob Cowing can get on the field, we all watched him in the preseason and went, oh, guy's a little interesting. Find a way to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have enough of the offense down to get on the field. Meanwhile, neither does Xavier Worthy. Mecole Hardman stinks. Mecole Hardman is not a good wide receiver, but do you know why he's good with the Chiefs? Because Andy Reid says, hey, you know what? You're good at these 4 things. We're going to let you go do those 4 things. Mm-hmm. You're going to wreak havoc on defenses doing this. They know it's coming. It's not going to matter because you're really good at it, and we're going to execute the hell out of this play. They do the exact same thing with Xavier Worthy. They do the exact same thing with Kadarius Toney and any other player who has come through there. They have figured out ways to have success with those players. And with Kyle Shanahan, it's, hey, you know what? You lined up a yard off where you needed to be lined up. You're just not getting that. You're just not going to be on the field. And that is where I think what you're talking about comes in, where, like, this year, when they get in the red zone, it's not, hey, we need to get creative. We need to do something fun because our guys are not winning one-on-one often enough. It's not, let's get creative. It's, hey, we just need to execute better. Well, that's clearly not working. We're 7 weeks into this.
Yeah. Hey, man, like, I watched Xavier Worthy in week 1 score 2 touchdowns and he got thrown 3 balls.
Yep.
And he had 1 run.
Yes.
They put the fear of Xavier Worthy into the heart and souls of every other team that they're going to play the rest of the season.
Yes.
Whether he can do anything or not, we have no idea. But we do know that there's a fear of him.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been that.
Nope.
I mean, not only that, but we look at Cowings, right? And you're thinking, okay, there's got to be something wrong with him. He had to have, like, got to the combine and ran a 4.240, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to get selected in the draft because he's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who, in his senior year at Arizona, caught 90 balls. The year before, 85. The year before, 69 balls. Nice. This is not a dude who doesn't know how to run a route at all.
Correct.
This is a guy who is an actual receiver, not just a speed merchant.
Yep.
And what you did is you put yourself in a situation where you wouldn't let a kid on the field for the first 6 weeks of the season at all, except for the return kicks or whatever. You wouldn't let him because he needs training wheels for some reason.
Yeah.
Where other teams don't need training wheels, your guys need training wheels. And then when you needed him, you got lucky that he caught a deep pass, but you don't have him as part of everything. He doesn't have the confidence to go do what you need him to do because you've hamstrung him the whole time.
Right.
So, like, to me, like, there's a major disconnect in how he handles young receivers. There always has been. But now, what has he got? He's got Debo, maybe. He's got Juwan Jennings, maybe. And now he's got a bunch of young receivers. And that's it. Yeah. They're going to make mistakes. And I don't know. For me, like, there definitely is a lack of creativity when I'm watching other teams play, because I watch a ton of football. And sure, he made a nice play at, what was it, 2nd and 1 at the 1 yard line. Okay, that was creative, but Mason could have ran that ball in on any given down. I mean, that's just the way it is. The rest of the season, it just feels like they're running the same exact thing, and everybody in the entire building knows what's coming.
Yeah,
and it does not get it. It's not the end zone carry that you need. It does not. They don't score in the red zone like they did last year. But last year, I'm gonna put this big asterisk. There's a guy named Christian McCaffrey there who changes everything. And so, like, you still have to, just because you don't have one guy there doesn't mean you're no longer creative. It doesn't mean you no longer score touchdowns. You got to figure it out. And we're too deep into the season to figure it out. And now, everything else is snowballing around them.
Yeah, man. And as much as, we can talk about Kyle Shanahan here, the bottom line for me is that Brock Purdy was not good yesterday.
No.
He was as bad as I've ever seen him. We've ever seen him. Thought it was the worst game he's ever played. His two best throws, the long completion to Kittle and the long completion to Cowing, should have been touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he horribly underthrew them. Yeah. The interception in the end zone, inexcusable. Chris Conley double covered. You're trying to force a ball into a window that's not there. You get a big 4th down stop. They actually got a stop on a fake punt. Next play, interception to nobody. There was no window for him to throw. He's guessing. And when he gets sped up and he's forced to operate from the pocket, he is not good.
Yeah.
And this is a player that in that spot, and I understand, okay, he's down to the Chris Conley and Ricky Pearsall in his first ever NFL game, not even preseason, first ever NFL game.
Wild.
Jacob Cowing getting his first real snaps, and Ronnie freaking Bell. Those are your options. I get that and George Kittle. I get that that's going to be more difficult. But in a spot where this is a quarterback that they're going to pay $60+ million to this offseason, I haven't seen enough happen yet that would take me off my stance that the 49ers are going to pay him, because that's just kind of what you do with quarterbacks. So he's going to get paid. And in this spot, maybe you don't go win, but you don't play the worst you've ever played.
Yeah.
He was abominable. And if you want to look across the other side to the other sideline, and I say this because I see people talk about Brock Purdy is elite. No, Patrick Mahomes is elite. Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, their number 1 receiver, goes down on like the first drive of the game or second drive of the game.
Yeah, they're also playing without Rashee Rice, their best receiver.
Their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
You have Travis Kelce was hemmed up all day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He had, 4 catches for 17 yards or something?
Every time he caught the ball,
he was not effective.
They hit him
but
hard.
It was Noah Gray. It's 1 to Samaje Perine here. It's 1 to Justin Watson there. It's figuring it out and making plays. And Brock didn't do that. And not only did he not make plays, he made bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
In a spot where, dude, just take care of the football. You're down 9 with a few minutes left, and you have the ball on their 5. It is 3rd and goal. If there's nothing there, throw it away, take the 3 points, try for the onside kick, live to fight another day. Throwing an interception there is inexcusable, man. And not even an interception that was, it got tipped, or, oh, man, defender made a great play. No, defender was just standing there. Brock just threw it to him. And this is supposed to be a franchise quarterback who's going to be the rising tide that lifts all boats, that in 5 years with no Christian McCaffrey, no Deebo Samuel, no George Kittle, the 49ers are just going to be good because they have Brock Purdy under center? No, not there.
Yeah.
He was that bad yesterday.
I mean, half the throws that he made looked like Jimmy Garoppolo throws.
Yes.
Soft
1,000%.
and floated and way too high. And you're like, what is happening? Even the one where Kittle went over the middle and made that incredible catch way up high.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? It's just such a soft throw. The ball that he threw that was picked on the sidelines where Ronnie Bell and him had miscommunication, which again, I don't know why you have miscommunication on that. Either way, it was like, it was a lollipop.
You want me to make matters worse on that play? And maybe this is just Kyle Shanahan trying to, and Brock Purdy trying to save Ronnie Bell from another week of get this guy out of here.
Yep.
They said it was not a miscommunication. That makes it worse. That makes it so much worse. That was a terrible throw.
Yeah, I do know that Ronnie Bell went out past the marker on third down and came back, but was still
flattened his route.
He was wide open on the sidelines.
Yep.
A nice tight spiral to the sidelines is a completion for a first down.
Easy.
And that's not what he does.
And keep in mind, they were down 2 at that point.
Yeah.
They were in field goal range. They had the ball at Kansas City's 34.
Yeah, absolutely.
Theoretically in field goal range, you have your kicker missing extra points. But
missing extra points when you should have gone for 2. Because everybody else in the league is going for 2 right there.
Yes. It's
like, I don't want to hear about how it's okay to go for it on your own 40 on fourth down, but it's not okay to go for a 2-point conversion when you're down 14-13, 14-12.
Yeah, you go for 2 with 10.5 minutes left.
Just like shocking, man.
I'm sorry, it's 10.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Because then if you don't get it, you're down 9. So you're going to play down 9. Best case, so that's worst case. Best case is you score and you're tied.
Yeah.
The best case scenario in kicking a field goal there, kicking the extra point there, is that you're now down 1. And if the Chiefs score a touchdown, you're now down 8 and you need a 2-point conversion anyway, just to tie it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more energy to give on Kyle Shanahan not being aggressive enough.
Yeah.
The numbers, we talked about this yesterday on Overtime on 95.7 The Game, but every year since 2021, the number of attempts on fourth down that leads the league has ticked up. It went from like 41 to 42 to 48, from 21, 22 to 23. In 2021, 2022, and 2023, it went at 41, 42, 48. The 49ers numbers over that same span in fourth down attempts have gone down.
That's wild.
The league leader, the league leader last year was like the Panthers or something, because bad teams typically go for it on fourth down more often.
I think the Lions go for it
40 times. They were second in the league at 40. The 49ers 13. And that's where Kyle Shanahan is supposed to be that dude, where how do you not have, we can go back to the Vikings game for this. 4th and goal at the 2. And they go for it, and it's an out to Juwan Jennings that gets batted down at the line or tipped at the line and is incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a fun play design in your bag to get you 2 yards? Do you feel like, yeah, we can break this out and get 2 yards right here?
Yeah.
Really? You don't have that? And that's what's baffling, man. Maybe it's the Christian McCaffrey of all this. Maybe they just went, hey, we are so invested in Christian McCaffrey, but you have had 7 weeks.
You had more than that, Kyle. He didn't even play in preseason.
Yeah.
You had so much time.
Yeah. And
training camp, everything else, like come up with something.
Yes. In the event that Christian McCaffrey doesn't play week 1, we need some fun stuff in our bag.
Yeah. You know what it feels like? It feels like when you go to take your wife out to a really nice dinner.
Okay.
And you go somewhere and you're looking at the menu and everything is like $25 or $30, maybe a little bit more. And you're like, okay, this is really, really pricey. And then you get your meal and it's something that you easily could have made at home. Nothing is special about anything on the plate.
Yep.
And you're just looking at it like, okay, I could have just gone to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
This is not at all what I'm paying $35 for or $30 for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it feels. It just feels like unoriginal and bland and like something that anyone could do.
Mm-hmm.
Not someone with the biggest payroll and superstars at every single position.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the dude's cooking without any ingredients.
Yep.
Now he might be. But up until this point, he had plenty to work with.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. That's the Elk Grove Kia Talk Line. If you want to get in on this conversation, the 49ers fall to the Chiefs 28-18 in a game that was not even as close as the final score. I do want to salute John Dillon, who's the managing editor of Chiefs Wire, who nailed the final score prediction.
Oh.
28-18 is a weird score, and he nailed it.
That is a weird score.
On the dot. Not 28-17, not 28-14. He had 28-18.
Yeah.
And he was right. He even said, like, the Niners might bottle up Travis Kelce, but the Chiefs just know how to make plays and win these games. It's like, dang, nailed it, my guy.
You must know
football. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be nice. No, man, I don't know at this point. And this is why this is frustrating. Because the 49ers have enough good players that if you, James, came from the future and you said, hello, I'm James from February of 2025, and the 49ers made it back to the NFC Championship game, I'd be like, oh, okay.
All right.
Right.
Like the same exact. I feel the same way.
Would I bet on that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But that's why this is so if this was the I'm not trying to be insulting here. If this was the Chicago Bears, a team that like rebuilding, rookie quarterback, kind of picking their way through, and they were sitting at 3-4 with the loss to the Chiefs. It's like, okay, feel good about the direction of the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears have been better than the 49ers this year, to be sure. But I'm picking a different team for example here. With San Francisco, it's like, this was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. And they played yesterday another Super Bowl contender and looked decidedly not like one.
Yeah.
And maybe they turned something around. Maybe Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, and I thought Deommodore Lenoir was great yesterday. He had a really, really nice game.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Mustafa, saved for getting railroaded at the goal line.
He's figuring it out.
Was really, really good yesterday. Yeah. Jair Brown stinks. I'm out on Jair Brown.
All right.
Holy smokes. I've never seen a player take more bad angles, miss more tackles, be in the wrong spot more often. Just out on number 27. But there's enough talent on both sides of the ball that if you told me next week, they're favored by 6 against the Cowboys, by the way.
Still?
Who are coming off the bye. Yes. Opening line 6 points.
That's crazy.
If you told me that, Juwan Jennings back and Debo's back and they beat the Cowboys and then Christian McCaffrey back after the bye and they got rolling a little bit, all right, fine. But reacting to what I know in week 7, this is not a good enough football team. And maybe they sneak into the playoffs, but looking at their schedule, do you have faith in them to go into Tampa Bay and win? Are you certain?
No.
Okay. They got the Bills. You get the Lions.
Oh.
There's a couple more tough ones in there that I'm missing. Green Bay's in there.
Oh.
Got to go play Green Bay.
Green Bay.
You got to play the Rams,
legit.
who might be who already beat you and might be healthier at that point.
Okay.
You got to play the Cardinals again, who already beat you. Like this is they needed to, like I said, had they lost yesterday, but man, you know what? It was just a duel. Mahomes, Purdy, they were getting out, 2 good defenses playing, and the Chiefs just snuck it out 20-17. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
But to fall as flat as they did in that spot yesterday, woof.
Brutal.
And maybe it's the Super Bowl hangover stuff. Maybe it's the 3 consecutive years of falling short, and they just don't have the emotional energy to go, all right, we're ramping this back up.
Yeah. I'm with Trent Williams. I wanted to punch somebody so I could leave early.
Hey, they need to get 6 in concussion protocol. Holy smokes. He got walloped. No, but that's just it. Like that is an emotionally weak play by Trent Williams.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from. You're getting your ass kicked and then you get smacked upside the head. I know you're upset.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. Like that's Bush League.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbecoming of a veteran Hall of Fame left tackle on a team that's supposed to be on par with a team like the Chiefs, and the 49ers just very clearly aren't.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep talking about this. The Brandon Ayuk injury is another big story coming out of yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll take a look around the NFL. Week 7, ton of good games, ton of fun games. We will run through there. We have our World Series matchup set. Tons to get into today on the Insiders. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. You're on ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Leader. And clear.
As the 49ers are today, yes, the Lions would boat race the 49ers.
Oh my God. Smoke them.
Yeah.
You said earlier, in fact, you know what? You said something earlier.
Was it about what I compared the 49ers to a poorly created meal at a restaurant?
No. No. It's funny. On for our honeymoon, we did a honey fund. So we got I think I've told this story before, but
I don't think so.
We went to DC for our honeymoon. There was still COVID stuff and we were worried about leaving the country as a whole thing. So we're both dorks who like museums, and we went, hey, this is DC has a lot of museums. So we go to DC, had a great time, wonderful city, really loved it. But so many of the museums and stuff to do there is free. Like all the Smithsonian museums are free.
Oh.
So you just make a reservation to get in.
Okay.
So we didn't have to really pay for anything. And so we had all this money in our honeymoon fund. Our Airbnb was not super expensive. Our flights weren't crazy expensive. So our friend recommended this restaurant called Fiola. Fiola is the name of the restaurant. Michelin star restaurant. Cost like out the door after I did the wine pairing. And I was always, it was a lot of money. It was more money than I will ever pay for a meal again in my life.
Okay.
But I had always wondered, like, why do people do that? I can go to, Taco Bell's delicious. I can go to Taco Bell and fill up for like $8. Why would I spend $1,000 on a dinner or whatever?
Yep.
And then I went to a dinner like that and I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. Like flavor combinations and imported cheeses and like I like, oh, this is what I get. I understand.
Yes.
I eat sea urchin. I hate fish. Whatever the sea urchin was cooked in,
unbelievable.
And I hate sea urchin's very fishy, extremely fishy. Not a fan. Ate it. Loved it.
That's why we recommend like I've go to Josephine's, right? Bryce was going to Josephine's up in Auburn. Just unbelievable. They're just wonderful people, but also the food, the quality of food. And the thing is, my wife is a very good cook, and we can try some of the stuff that they do, but you're going there, you're going to pay a lot of money because you're getting a meal that you really can't cook at home.
Yes. Facts.
Like that's the deal. And when someone wants to charge me a bunch of money, but the food is off the charts, like, okay, it is what it is.
Yes.
But when you go somewhere and it's like, it's so goddamn basic. Like seriously,
yeah.
Like, don't tell me this is an aged steak. Like, don't what it's not
aged because it's been in your fridge a couple weeks.
Yeah, like I don't want to like it. It's if you're gonna spend the money, it's cool to go out to a nice new spot. We did a Michelin star restaurant. I think it was in Sonoma, and it was meh. The service was off the charts, right? But the food itself was just like, oh, okay, this isn't good enough for what you guys are supposed to be. Yeah. For what 4 people are going to drop $1,000 on dinner. It's like if you ever get to go to the kitchen in Sacramento, unbelievable.
I've heard it's really cool.
They do it up. Like everything is spotless. It is like perfect.
Hey, facts. This is facts. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Shout out to the chatty house, man. YouTube.com/ESPN1320 and Twitch.tv/ESPN1320. People in there right now giving wine pairings for Taco Bell meals.
Oh. Oh.
Talking a little food at the break. Speaking of food, that's what the 49ers were yesterday against the Kansas City Chiefs. 28-18, the loss there for the Niners. The other thing that happened last night, as we put a pin in the NFL for a brief moment, the Dodgers punched their ticket to the World Series with a win at home over the New York Mets. I have a couple things on this. The Mets are not a Cinderella. The Mets are not some plucky underdog. The Mets had the highest payroll in baseball. All right. And I know there's technicalities with that the Dodgers are deferring all sorts of money with a bunch of guys. And so that, okay, fine. The Mets pay their roster a lot of money. They're not the Guardians were like middle of the pack in payroll.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a fun little story.
Yeah. Just like, when was the last time they won? They won the World Series in 1969 and in 1986.
They were in the World Series in 2015.
Yeah. It just feels like that they aren't.
They weren't a good
team.
Losers.
They weren't a good team last year.
Yeah, they're the lovable losers, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they dumped a bunch of money into their roster. This was not a small market v big market, David v Goliath type of thing. The Dodgers have an awesome roster. The Yankees have an awesome roster. They're the two best teams in baseball, and they're facing off in the World Series.
This is a dream for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and honestly, the Dodgers-Yankees series in the Bronx this year was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was outstanding, and Juan Soto didn't even play in that series. And for the Dodgers specifically, given how their not their coaching staff, given how beat up their pitching staff is, that they've been able to make their way through this postseason with like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was hurt for a bunch of the year with a shoulder injury, and Jack Flaherty, who's had some injury problems in his career who they picked up at the deadline, and then like bullpen games.
A bullpen game. Just
super
incredible.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Like really, really, really fun. And then Tommy Edman, who they acquired at the trade deadline, who had wrist surgery in the offseason, who didn't even play until August 19th. That's when he played his first game this year. For him to come out and be the NLCS MVP, that's fun.
Yeah.
You talk about the randos all the time with baseball.
All the time.
Tommy Edman's the rando.
There we are.
He's done it before. He's been there. Like, I get Tommy Edman, good player. Not trying to drag Tommy Edman. But on a team with Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez and Freddie Freeman, for Tommy Edman to be that dude, it's a fun story.
Yeah.
So I understand people. It's Dodgers, Yankees. It's boring. It's going to be the best series that the league could have gotten.
Oh, by far. And especially, I think, I always talk about the randos for sure, but to watch the Yankees great sluggers all of a sudden like catch fire.
Yes.
It's like, oh man, if we get that, like that is like the highest of, like, that would be spectacular.
Yes.
Like I want to see Giancarlo Stanton like hitting home run after home run, like the drama. I want to see Shohei catch fire, which I don't know. He has not been. It doesn't seem like he's been all that.
He's. It's because he's not hitting with runners not on base.
Yeah.
In his last 23 at bats with runners on base, he is 18 for 23.
That's wild. Like. That's crazy.
Dude's just raking. So that's what, dude, there's star power. It is, and if you, I know our guy Ramsey in the chat is like, I'm not watching. All right, fine. If that's you, totally fine. I'm not going to hate. But I think for me, after watching that Yankees Dodgers series pretty closely back in, I think it was June, I'm fired up. Is it annoying because this is what baseball has quote unquote wanted and all the marketing and stuff around it? Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. But in a league that has done a bad job of marketing its stars, here's its chance. So many of the stars right here in this series in the two biggest markets in the sport.
Oh yeah. East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, man.
I mean, this is it.
There's the history here with the Dodgers formerly being in Brooklyn. I mean,
you could not ask for anything more if you're Major League Baseball. This is it. This is the...
Which is annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't want Rob Manfred to win.
Yeah.
But, yeah, from a baseball standpoint, it's like, oh, this is going to be a good series.
No, I totally agree.
I can't wait. Yankees-Dodgers. That's going to be your World Series. And then in other championship news, the New York Liberty, congratulations to the New York Liberty. They beat the Minnesota Lynx 67-62 in overtime to win the WNBA title. I don't want to dive super far into this. I will say the officiating, really bad there at the end. Really, really bad.
Okay, so
that was the most egregious travel I've ever seen in my life. I'm Brianna Stewart.
Yeah, the travel was bad, but the foul call with like 5-point-something seconds left. You know what that was though? That is what Domantas Sabonis gets called for all the time. He goes straight up.
Yeah.
But then as soon as there's contact, his hand falls forward, and she did hit her arm. But I mean, in that moment, you're like, oh, they're not going to call that. Oh no, they're calling that. They send her to the line, she ties it. But I was a little bit bummed out for the WNBA. I thought, okay, so look, I thought the game was back and forth. I thought the crowd was incredible,
unbelievable,
like high drama, all this stuff, right? But to have your stars, to have Sabrina go 1 of 19 from the field,
and not a great night for Sabrina.
Yeah, to have Stewart go 4 of 15 and 0 for 3 from 3, to have the Liberty go 2 of 23 for 3 as a team.
Yeah,
it was like you want that crazy combative game, but you also want it to be like fun.
Yeah,
and it was like a bricklaying contest.
I think for me, in a do or die game 5 like that, where it is back and forth.
Yeah.
In a series that has been as back and forth as this one, like two, was it 17-point comebacks, 15-point comebacks, whatever it was?
Yeah.
You had the Sabrina game winner to send it to a game 5, like just unbelievable moments. That to me harkened back to, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, the 2016 game 7 between the Cavs and Warriors. We remember that as like this awesome game because of the comeback and just the history of it, and the Kyrie shot over Steph and the LeBron chase down block, and these moments were amazing. But that was a bad game. Klay Thompson hit a jumper. We looked this up. Klay Thompson hit a jumper with 4:39 left in the game to make it 89-89. It stayed 89-89 until 53 seconds left when Kyrie hit the 3. It was just, and I think that's kind of what you get into those moments, and it's like, man, it's tense. When you're Brianna Stewart and you're Sabrina Ionescu, like it's on you. And see, it got. I think the pressure got to both teams. Nobody shot it great.
Yeah,
that was not a.
For your 2 stars to do that, to go 5 of 34 from the field, and for you to win.
Yeah,
I mean, that to me is crazy.
The free throw disparity.
Yeah,
25-8.
It's not great.
And the commissioner wearing a dress of the New York skyline.
Oh,
like, I'm not a conspiracy theory in sports guy.
Oh yeah,
I really, the strings that have to be pulled, and we'll talk about the NFL here in a bit, but the strings that have to be pulled to pull off some of the conspiracies that people think are happening.
Yeah.
People going, well, of course the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl because the NFL. No, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl because they're good.
Yes.
Like, because Nick Bosa crashed down on a 4th and 1 and got fooled on the read option, and Patrick Mahomes got a first down instead of being stopped to end the game. Like, that it's not a conspiracy, right? But you have the commissioner in New York. You have a game that is trying to grow. It's not trying to grow. It is exploding.
Oh yeah.
Like, the WNBA has arrived. There's no more like, oh, it's growing. The WNBA is here. And to have the commissioner in New York wearing a dress of what looks like the New York skyline, and to have the officiating go the way that got officiated. I'm not going to go as far as to be tinfoil hat guy, but it's really hard to argue against the tinfoil hat people.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I think the only reason I bring up the shooting and all that stuff is because I do know that so many more people were watching that, and you're competing against, again, the Jets playing on Sunday Night Football, and just New York fans, you're competing with that. At the same time, you're competing with the Mets in the NLCS.
Yeah.
Right. So you're competing with all this stuff. And if you're going to get this opportunity to be on primetime with all this other stuff, you just wish it would have been like a shootout or something that like drew in a few more fans, some casuals that were Like,
Sure.
hey, you know what? This is the game 5. Like, let's see it. So that's where it was like, okay, it was a little bit dry.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. It was such I definitely agree. Like a game that's like shot for shot and back and forth is always preferable, right?
Yeah.
But I think there was enough drama in the game and enough drama in the series.
Oh, no, for sure.
That it was just both teams playing their asses off. Is back and forth game. I think it was not a well played game, but I think overall a good game and a good cap to a pretty remarkable season for the WNBA, and hope to continue seeing that league grow for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Really excited to see what the next couple of years look like. So, week 7 of the NFL. We talked about it on Friday, and this is the Insiders. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're live here on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Leader every day from 10 a.m. to noon. If you're not subscribed to the podcast version of the show, please do so. It's the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show, wherever you get your podcasts. It's each hour of the show plus the full show. If you miss anything or want to go back and listen to something, we'll have it there for you. Or if you just want to support the homies and you have no intention of listening to the podcast, you can still subscribe and hook us up with the downloads. We would appreciate that immensely. Anyways, week 7. We talked about it going in. Man, there's a lot of really good games on this schedule this week.
Oh, yeah.
I want to start with the Lions and Vikings, because when we were talking about the 49ers and Chiefs, and the Chiefs outclassing the 49ers kind of in every way, you said the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now. They're 6-0.
Yep.
And if that's just, hey, they haven't had a loss, they're the best team. To me, the Lions are the best team in the league right now.
It's a toss-up between the Lions and the Vikings outside of the fact that the Chiefs exist at 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
The Lions are 31 points on that Vikings defense. Jared Goff looking as good as he looked against that Vikings defense. Their offense looks like what the Kyle Shanahan offense used to look like, where they just had answers for everything. And they have the two-headed monster at running back with Jahmyr Gibbs and with David Montgomery, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is awesome, and Sam Laporta's not even having a great year. But their offensive line is just freaking outstanding. Jared Goff is playing great football. Defensively, they're doing enough to win games. Remember, that was their first game without Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah.
And they still figured out a way to go in a division game on the road and beat the previously undefeated Vikings.
And they got to Sam Darnold 4 times.
Yeah, man. I am blown away by the Lions. I was blown away by the Lions last year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they outplayed San Francisco in the NFC title game, and the 49ers just made a couple of plays and the Lions didn't down the stretch. The Lions this year, to me, for my money through week 7, are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I don't think there's a team in the league that is hanging with them for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I would say that if they still had Aiden Hutchinson, that I would put them in that. Like, I would think that they're the odds-on favorite just because they have a difference maker. They can get to the quarterback at any time, and just be disruptive. Like, so, but I still think that they're in a small group of teams. I think it's them. I think it's the Chiefs. And again, like, hat tip to the Vikings, who did come back and did have an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put them in the same boat because I like whatever's happening there with Sam Darnold. I mean, he wasn't great, but whatever's happening, it's still something that, like, they're really good.
If I gave you the NFC North or the field to win the Super Bowl, the NFC North, that gives you the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers. Packers also look good in a 24-22 win over the Texans. We can talk about that here in a second.
I'm taking the NFC North.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
Because your options outside of the NFC North are the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
49ers, the Seahawks.
Well,
Falcons.
I mean, AFC. I mean,
and then you've got the Chiefs,
the Bills,
the Ravens.
I think we can stop there. I don't think there's another team in the AFC.
Yeah, Houston worried me a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, well, okay. Houston, if they figure it out, then maybe.
Right now, I'm not putting Houston in that group.
No, they're on.
They're talented enough too, and maybe by the end of the year they get there. Right now, they're not there.
Yeah,
I think I'm leaning NFC North too, man.
Yeah, I probably
Ravens and the Bills and the Chiefs. Oof,
I don't know.
That's a gauntlet.
Yeah,
man. It just the Lions right now. I think the vibes are off the charts. They are so talented, and for one game, they figured it out without Aiden Hutchinson. And for me, for my money, like I said, I think they're the best team in the league right now. But You can't rule out the Vikings who they beat, and you can't rule out the Packers who beat the Texans 24-22. And man, I saw some preseason prognostication about the Packers that said, hey, they were really good last year. They had a nice end of the season, but they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. And they lost Jordan Love for a couple of games. Didn't matter. They lose that season opener to the Eagles on a Friday night in Brazil, but then won a couple of games without without Jordan Love and with Malik Willis starting. They really look like they're kind of hitting their stride. And if their receiving core can stay healthy, I think they're going to be a real problem. And their defense played awesome yesterday too.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched with Love. They're so incredibly good. Like when he's playing, I don't know that they're going to lose a lot of games at all. So yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think that they're right now like a top 2-3 team in football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're now in my top 5 without any question. And the funny thing is, they're last in their division. Like
the Packers?
Yeah. Am I wrong?
That can't be right.
I swear, I just looked at the division standings, and they're
5-2 now.
So okay. My bad.
Up on the Bears.
They're a half game up on the Bears. Yeah. So the Bears are 4-2 because
we haven't even talked about the Bears, who have a really good defense, and they have the number 1 overall pick who's figuring it out.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
This is
ridiculous division.
Every week it's a new 2 or 3 receivers that are dominating. Like I know you picked up Romeo Doubs on our fantasy. We got to get a piece of the Packers offense. It's like, well, the problem is that they have him, they have Wicks, they have Reed, they have a tight end who keeps catching all kinds of touchdowns.
Craft.
Yeah, they had like
all these dudes are like 23.
Oh yeah. It's absolutely spectacular to watch.
Matt LaFleur's top 5 for me. Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell, Andy Reid.
Yep. Well, I think Andy Reid's number 1.
Yeah, Andy Reid's 1 for
just
sure.
because he's the guy with 2 Super Bowl rings right now.
Yeah, man. Speaking of top 5 coaches, I was a little bit down on Mike Tomlin, but the Steelers are now 5-2 after smoking the Jets 37-15, and that the Russell Wilson starting at quarterback thing worked.
He looked so bad.
He looked right. There was early on. It had big. I don't know if anybody remembers this. I think it was 2009 when the Niners played the Eagles at home on Sunday Night Football. And the "We Want Carr" chant started for Alex Smith. Might have been 2010. But the "We Want Carr" chant started for Alex Smith. And it was ugly. And the crowd's turning on him. That's how it felt with Russell Wilson early. It felt like, hey, this crowd is going to turn on this dude. And credit to him, man. He balled out. Yeah. A lot of George Pickens, a lot of Darnell Washington, but hey, they figured it out and scored 37 points against the Jets. And the Jets now winless since firing Bob Saleh. Almost like he wasn't the problem.
Oh. You think? Yeah.
Yikes.
I was watching that game. Russell came out, and like years and years ago, me and my brother, we had taken up bowling, and we would go bowling all the time with friends, right? So my dad goes, hey, I want to come out and bowl. We're like, okay. My dad had back surgery. We'd never seen him bowl. I don't think ever.
Okay.
And he comes out, he's got his own bowling bag, and he's left-handed, so he has his own ball because the holes are all weird. And he's got these crazy shoes, and we're like, oh my gosh. So my dad's first bowl goes to bowl, slips, flies up in the air, smacks down on his back, slides across the buzzer. Bzzz. Me and my brother were laughing so hard. I swear seriously, we were in tears. He was okay. And
it was like, I'd be checking on the guy. He had back surgery.
Oh my gosh. We were laughing so hard. Then he got up and he bowled like a 177, just torched us. We're like, what just happened?
Oh, guy still got it.
You haven't bowled in like 15 years. And that's what it felt like. Russell came out and was like, oh, that was a horrible throw. And then the first one almost looked like he just like duck hooks it. You're like,
yeah.
Oh no. Like he's done. He's shot. And then he just torched him. Like, yeah. All right.
So. Yeah. I was stunned by that outcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunned. Turns out the Jets just aren't very good.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Huh.
Who'd have really thunk?
They're a bad team.
The Raiders fell to the Rams 20-15. Ugly game. Aiden O'Connell's out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be the Gardner Minshew show.
Oh.
You know, I've had a lot of bad takes.
Yeah.
Like some really bad ones.
We were so here for Gardner Minshew.
The Gardner Minshew is going to get the Raiders to 9-8 take. My bad. I'll wear that.
Oh,
yikes!
Bad. Yeah,
he had that fourth quarter against the Ravens, and what was it? Swing and a miss. Yikes!
He came in the game so early. It was like, hey, why is Minshew in the game? Because I wasn't watching it, and like, oh no, Aiden O'Connell's hurt, right? To go 15 of 34 for 154 yards and 3 picks, one of which was a pick 6, right? And that's the thing. Like, it's not his picks. They're like Will Levis. Like when that guy throws a pick, it's going for 6 almost every time. Same thing. Wasn't it Daniel Jones that a couple of years ago had more pick 6s than he did touchdowns for himself?
It was at one point. It was that. I don't think it finished the year like that, but yes, it was like a weekly. Oh, hey, and here's the in-game highlight. They're gonna cut away to Kurt Menefee in the studio. Kurt. And he's like, well, the Philadelphia Eagles are off to a hot start as Daniel Jones throws his 3rd pick 6 in as many weeks. He's like, oh my God.
Aren't they talking about right now where he has not thrown a touchdown in their home stadium or ran a touchdown in like 600 days?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Saquon Barkley torching them yesterday was funny.
That was amazing.
But yeah, man, Gardner Minshew comes in 15 of 34, $154, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Oh.
I look like Brock Purdy out there, am I right?
Oh, no. Oh,
I mean, he
Kyle
just
got chokes.
No, he's just not like my bad. Like I said, my bad, y'all. He's just not good at football.
Minshew.
I thought there was a little. Well, Brock yesterday too, but Minshew specifically in this instance, like he's just not good, man. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that is like, you know what, a little bit of a gunslinger, but man, there's going to be enough good plays that maybe not outweigh the bad ones, but you feel okay and you can win some games. Wrong.
No, we were
Big
totally wrong. Yeah.
He fell behind, was it 20-6 yesterday? All right, you get a couple of field goals and make it respectable, but
this might be the best thing that ever happened though.
I said going into the week, you watch this game because it's a winnable game against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you sneak out a win and maybe you can kind of keep hope alive that they can just sneak around and stay in the play. No. It might be good that Gardner Minshew is going to start a bunch of games and they lose a bunch of games. Like I saw John Poles in the chatty house. Said tank for Cam Ward, who's a G, by the way.
Yeah.
I finally watched a full Cam Ward game. Well, I've now watched 2 full Cam Ward games. The one against Cal here in Berkeley with the big comeback, and then this weekend against Louisville in a shootout. Cam Ward was awesome. So if the Raiders are tanking for Cam Ward, salute. That's the right move. I'm in on that.
I am too.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. I don't think Cam Ward, the University of Miami quarterback. I don't know if I noted that for anybody who doesn't follow college football. Very good player. Heisman. I think he's a Heisman favorite right now.
Okay.
For the undefeated Hurricanes. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. That's the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Don, you're on the Insiders with James and Kyle. What's up?
Yes, sir. Kyle, Hammer, what's up?
What up? Let it rip, TC.
Yeah, what's going on, man? Hey, so before we get started, listen, actually, I don't even want to listen. Kyle, let me ask you a question. You too, Ham. Please answer. I know you guys can't do too much, but just yes or no. Now are you guys starting to see what I'm talking about with this dude, Kyle?
No.
Not you, Kyle Madsen, but Kyle Shanahan.
I'm not, because my critiques of him are the critiques I've always had.
Yeah, I still think he's a great coach, but I'm always left wanting just a little bit.
Yeah, TC, I won't be in your camp. I get why you're there, and I respect it. I won't be in your camp until he loses players, and I don't think he's done that.
Hey, so listen, yesterday, everybody, I know Brock has things to work on, right? Anticipation, like Brock, you have to work on what you need to work on. But Brock was playing scared yesterday, Kyle Madsen, and you know this. Yeah. Kyle tells that guy to hit all his quarterbacks. He never, let me back up a little. He never developed a quarterback. He had never developed a quarterback, and I don't think he had never know how to develop a quarterback. What Brock is doing right now, Brock played 4 years in college, and he came in that way. Kyle didn't do nothing to Brock. If anything, he's holding Brock back. Kyle tells all of his quarterbacks where to throw to, who to throw to, when to throw it, and all that, bro. He was quarterbacking scared yesterday because Kyle was telling him where to throw to. Just like that play that quarterback sneak when he ran in. If you look at that play, both when they broke the huddle and when they were walking up to to hike the ball, Brock looked back at I think it was JP. He looked back and shook his head no, saying, I'm not going to hand you the ball off like the play's called it. I'm a quarterback. Sneak this right now. Listen, man, Madsen, Hammer. I'm out on Kyle, bro. Y'all know how.
No, we know.
You have T-shirts, don't you?
It's not breaking news, DC.
Thank you. That game yesterday, Brock has a lot to do, but a lot of that had to do with Kyle and him micromanaging Brock and telling him where to throw to, bro, in my opinion.
Thanks, DC. Appreciate the call, buddy. That's the Elk Grove Kia Talk on 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. We'll keep talking about that when we get back from the break. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Mads, and we're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 and Sacramento Sports Center.
Yo. I sneezed. Yeah. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not the quarterback because I think Shanahan does do a good job of developing quarterbacks. I think for me, it's
what's Jimmy G up to?
Yeah,
like that's
look at the talent of the players he's had. I think for me, it's always been about the wide receivers and how he handles them. At which on the offensive side, I just think it's the one position that he shows no faith in at all. And
we can get into this.
Yeah, if I'm a young wide receiver, the last team I want to be drafted by is right there. Saying that, how many all five of their 6, 7 wide receivers are drafted by the Niners, so I probably shouldn't feel that way.
Also, like Deebo Samuel was an All-Pro, Brandon Ayuk was an All-Pro, Juwan Jennings is
good,
carving out a nice little career.
Yeah, and they're all drafted here and developed here. No, Kyron, it's not for next season too. An ACL tear is about 8 to 10 months at this point. It's not the full year plus. If Ayuk did in fact tear his ACL, he'll probably be ready for week 1 next year.
Yeah, I was trying to Talanoa Hufanga, and everybody's different, right? There's so many different, there's so many factors that go into this, but Talanoa Hufanga tore his ACL in week 11 and came back in week 3.
Week 11. Got it. Yep.
So that would put, assuming, it follows the exact same timeline, it'd be about week 1.
Yeah. 10 months. Yeah. As soon as I saw the replay, I was like, "Oh, you kidding me?" And what a weird. That's very seldom do you see a torn ACL on a play like that. He just got hit really hard.
Yeah.
And you saw his knee just boom. Yeah. Chris, I don't think we have anything at all. I'm going to say he is going to be available, but I'm not sure. They're going to have a whole week of practice, but I will tell you that Kevin Herter, the Kings took, yeah, well, why don't we do that? We'll have some Kings talk on air. How about that?
I have a question for TCG. What do you believe Andy Reid has done to develop Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
What is Andy Reid, the head coach, done that has made Patrick Mahomes the player that he is?
Yeah. I mean, there's like a chicken or the egg, right? Because you can say the same about Belichick with Brady. Like, what did he do without Brady? What did he do with Brady? I don't know.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. I got stuff to say. We're hanging out with you till noon, then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC. Look, if we're going to blame Kyle Shanahan for Brock Purdy's performance yesterday and say that it's all Kyle Shanahan's fault and it's because he tells Brock where to throw it, which is not, that is not true. Brock Purdy has to read the entire field. And all this other stuff, then you also have to credit him for how well Brock Purdy has played as the final pick in the draft since he got under center in week 12 of the 2022 season. He's been awesome. Flat out. He was an MVP candidate last year in his first full season as a starter. I'm sorry. He had a really, really bad game yesterday. And if now all of a sudden it's Kyle Shanahan can't coach, I'm sorry, I can't get there. Kyle Shanahan got Jimmy freaking Garoppolo. He elevated Jimmy Garoppolo's play to allow him to allow him and the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl with Jimmy freaking Garoppolo, who couldn't hack it as a Raiders starter and is now a backup for the Rams. I personally don't believe it's on a coach to quote unquote develop a quarterback. I don't. That is not what this is.
No, I think for me, the coach, you said one thing earlier, but I'm also going to add this to it. When you said earlier that as soon as Kyle Shanahan loses the locker room, that's the time he has to go, right?
That's when I'll be out.
So look, I've covered an NBA team that switches toilet paper like, I don't know.
Switches coaches like toilet paper?
Switches coaches like like you switch toilet paper rolls. I'm sorry. They switch coaches like like they go through coaches so fast. Again, this is my 15th season. Through my 12th season, I'd covered 9 different head coaches. So look, many of those head coaches lost the locker room. Some of them did not and did not deserve to be fired. Some of them just proved it, like at the end of the day, that their team wasn't going to win and they had to go. Right. So Kyle Shanahan none of that has happened at all. And so in my opinion, there does come a point where if he can get you to the big game, but he can't win it, you always have to look at that. But then you have to say, okay, but who else is out there that has one that can get me over the hump? And like, I don't think Bill Belichick's walking through that door. I think he would love to, but I don't think the 49ers are calling for him to walk through that door and take over as a head coach.
They're definitely not.
Then the other thing is about like whether he's calling the plays for him or whether, the biggest thing for a coach is to put a player in a position to succeed.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And so
players have to play.
Is there a point this season where, again, the numbers back up that maybe Brock Purdy isn't rolling out enough? But you went back and looked, and it was like 2 games.
It's just play action, just fake handoffs.
So, like, there needs to be a point where, realistically, Kyle Shanahan does a better job of putting Brock Purdy in positions where he can succeed. The other thing that Brock Purdy needs to do is take full ownership. So, as opposed to throwing the ball into double coverage at the 5-yard line and turning the ball over in the red zone again, he has to either, if the play is bad, he needs to check down, he needs to audible, he needs to do whatever it is that gives himself the best percentage to succeed. And there is a point where a coach has to put faith in a quarterback and allow him to grow and develop and be the guy who makes the split decision, looks at the line, knows exactly what it is that he's looking at, and has to say, okay, I need you to go here, you to go here. We need to change this thing up right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think Brock is there. I just think that there's this moment where he's teetering on, he hasn't quite become great.
Yes.
He's really good, but he hasn't quite become great, and he's struggling to find the way to get to greatness.
Yeah.
And it does not help that he doesn't have a superstar running back that catches 60 or 70 or 80 balls out of the backfield.
Yeah, but lots of quarterbacks don't.
No, I get you, but lots of teams, most teams that don't have that, they knew it coming in that they weren't going to have that.
Sure.
And they, like, a quarter of the 49ers playbook is gone because McCaffrey's not there.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm like, there's a huge percentage of their playbook that just isn't the same. And it's, I think, why we're seeing the red zone issues this year with this team. Yeah, I mean, there's only so many times, again, that you can run Mason up the middle and think that you're going to get the necessary yards. And yeah, the 1 yard line, he's going to score that if you hand it to him. But overall, I think that there is like a lack of creativity in the end, in the last 10 yards, whatever it is. And a lot of that comes down to McCaffrey being gone. And a lot of it does come down to the fact that Shanahan is too conservative. And then the third thing is Brock Purdy just has to be better. He does.
Okay. So that's, I agree with you on all the Kyle Shanahan critiques you just had.
Yeah.
Yes, right there with you. What I can't get behind, I asked the Chatty House, and shout out to the Chatty House. A lot of really good thoughts on this. But I asked I said, what has Andy Reid done that has caused Patrick Mahomes to develop? And somebody said, lets him be himself. It's like, yes, exactly. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievably talented.
Yep.
He is leaps and bounds more talented physically than Brock Purdy. Like, that is just, that's what it is. Just from an arm strength perspective, from a way he sees the field perspective, all of that stuff. Brock Purdy, you want to talk development? He is throwing the ball downfield more than any quarterback in the league this year going into last week. Like, the offense had changed pretty dramatically to lean on Brock Purdy, and he was answering the call. Like, you want to talk about development? Brock Purdy was putting up career best numbers with throwing the ball down the field, doing more things than just managing the game. Like, you want to talk development? That's development, dude.
Oh no!
And was he bad? Was he awful yesterday? Yes. Josh Allen, who's been outstanding this year, not shading Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a game where he went 9 for 31 earlier this year. Like, sometimes quarterbacks have bad games. This is not this one bad game against arguably the best defense in the league, a top 3 defense in the league, and a great defensive coordinator is not a referendum on Kyle Shanahan's ability to develop Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
like, it's just not, dog. He's been really, really good this year. Brock Purdy has, through injury issues, through not having Christian McCaffrey. And have the 49ers handled that perfectly? No. And if you want to critique Kyle Shanahan in that, I am with you. Like, let's do that. Let's talk 4th down decisions. Let's talk 2-point decisions. Let's talk red zone play calling. Let's talk play calling in general. I'm with you. Like, let's ride. But if you want to say that Brock Purdy's not developing, he is. Like, we're watching it happen this year. He was awful yesterday. But I don't think it's because he went, okay, I'm supposed to throw it to Chris Conley on this play and he's double covered. Okay, I'm going to let it rip because that's what Kyle wants. It's not. I promise you. Yeah. It's not that simple. It is not that simple. Brock Purdy is a different quarterback now, a better quarterback, I would wager now, than he was last year. And I think there are some things missing. I don't think he trusts Jordan Mason on checkdowns. There was a play early in the game that I wrote down in my notes where Purdy is in the pocket and Jordan Mason is crossing his face with a little bit of room to run. And instead of checking that ball down like he probably would have to Christian McCaffrey, Purdy takes off. And does not, and he got 2 yards instead of however many he would have gotten on the check down to Mason. I think he has missed some of those throws. But that, to me, I don't think that's a Kyle Shanahan thing. I don't, you said it at the top of this segment. Like, players play. Players have to execute. And it is not a matter, this is not Sean McVay with Jared Goff, where up until 15 seconds, he's telling him what to do, and here's what the defense is doing, and this and that. They're hustling to the line so they can have maximum time for the coach to look at the defense. This is not that. Brock is making a ton of plays out of structure this year. Out of structure. And it's not like he's getting benched for it. It's not like he's getting reprimanded for it.
Yeah.
He's like, so I I get that he was god-awful yesterday, and I get that the vibes are really bad at the 49ers right now. I do. But if you want to use yesterday as hey, see, all the other good work that Kyle Shanahan did with Brock Purdy, all of that is now erased. See, he can't develop quarterbacks. What?
Yeah.
I'm as overreactionary as anybody. You want to overreact to something, I'm down. I am there. I am not. Did Kyle Shanahan coach a bad game yesterday? Yeah, probably. Yeah, he did. In fact, I'm not even going to say probably. Remove that. He did.
Okay.
Is he good at fourth down decisions? Terrible. Has his red zone play calling been good this year? No, abominable. But I'm not blaming him because Brock Purdy had a bad game against a really good defense and a really good defensive coordinator. I'm not. If you would like to, by all means, go for it. I'm not getting there, man. I'm not.
No, I'm with you. And I would point out too, we joke around about the Gardner Minshew thing. Like, Brock Purdy is a much better quarterback than Gardner Minshew.
Not even close.
Like, the fact that they had similar stats this weekend, like that, we're being facetious. Like, this is still a really good team. It's a team that's lost its way, that has incredible injuries. I mean, you just basically lost your 2-star receivers. And oh, by the way, your third wide receiver was already hurt, and you had to run a guy out there who got shot 7 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, and another guy that is a rookie that had. There was one possession where you had Ricky Pearsall and Cowing catch their first NFL passes, and that's where you were in the game. And oh, by the way, you have the best running back in football who has not played in 7 weeks. So yeah, there are reasons. Like, these aren't excuses why the Niners aren't finding success. Their defense is not nearly as good as it was before.
No.
One of the reasons is because Dre Greenlaw isn't there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make excuses for what the safeties are doing. I'm not. And I'm not going to make excuses for the fact that you didn't load up on your defensive line in the proper way, and the middle of your defensive line is nowhere as good as they were before. Although, hey, they've been great against the run. They've been able to, they just can't get to the quarterback like they should be, right?
Yeah.
So, but like, there are reasons that your team is struggling, or the 49ers are struggling, and there are also, I'm not going to make excuses for them. Like, again, you have to be better. If you're Shanahan, you have to be better. If you're Brock Purdy, you cannot throw those lollipop balls like down the sideline. The Ronnie Bell interception was so bad. The decision at the 5-yard line and threw it into the end zone, so bad.
Really bad.
And there's been a handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we keep pointing them out, but like, look, at the end of the day, this team does have some reasons why they are where they are.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you hit another critique I have of Kyle Shanahan is that ability to adapt in game.
Yeah.
We've seen several times throughout the years where Deebo Samuel leaves the game and the 49ers just have nothing. Like, he was a big part of the game plan, and now it's
he can't breathe in pregame warmups all of a sudden.
I don't. Did you hear how Kyle Shanahan described the illness that Deebo Samuel had? Stand by. Let me go find it. I wasn't prepared to do this, but they reported during the game that he came down with the illness during warmups. And here's what he said about Deebo's illness. The question: did Deebo get the sickness this morning? Like, did he just come in feeling, this morning? Can you describe what? Was he just vomiting? Answer: throat, stomach things, just real fatigued, struggled to breathe, couldn't catch his breath. And so he kept trying to fight through it. But once he was struggling with the breathing and everything, we had to shut him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a guess at what that is.
I'm
not a doctor.
Pretty sure I know what that is, because I had it like a couple of weeks ago. just saying.
Yeah. Like,
out of nowhere, like, oh.
I just thought that was
I don't feel good at all. Like, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
No.
I know. I did the show. I went and got my hair cut. I got home and I'm like,
felt horrible.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't feel good anymore.
I just thought when he was saying that, the presser was like, hey, there's a name for that.
Can you put a mask on him, please?
He's over there using the oxygen during the game. Like, hey, you got rid of that, right? We got rid of that mask.
Yeah, that one got thrown away, right? No one else used it afterwards.
I hope so.
Yeah.
He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders on ESPN 1320. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. If you would like to call the program, hit us up on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line, 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320. But no, and that's where, just to kind of go back to what we talked about at the top of the show with Kyle Shanahan, I would love to see him. And in fact, I really thought we did see points in the second half after Brandon Ayuk went down where they did some creative things in the run game.
Uh-huh.
And they did the 4th and 1 sneak with Brock Purdy where Kyle Juszczyk goes in motion and then they snap it and Juszczyk runs in behind him and pushes him. Thought that was great. The QB sneak where he scored. Thought that was great. There were a couple of things they did with motion that got Jordan Mason loose after he was really struggling. At one point, Kevin Burkhardt said that Kevin Burkhardt, the broadcaster for Fox, said the 49ers were getting hit in the backfield on 75% of their runs. Like, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to get it done.
No, but they made adjustments.
They figured out how to move the ball a little bit. And that's where, to me, this falls on Brock Purdy, because the plays were there. The deep shot to Kittle should have been a touchdown. The deep shot to Jacob Cowing should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
He just missed those throws. The interception in the end zone that came after the long completion to Cowing, that should have been thrown away. That's got to go out the back of the end zone, dog. Like, you're down 9. Field goal here works. You got to get the onside kick and stuff, but field goal works here.
Yeah.
It was not super inspiring, man. Just a really tough game all around, but not to me, not yet anyway. I'm filing it away. People in the chatty house who disagree with me, like I said, I'm not with you yet, but you're over there. You guys in TC are over there hanging out. I respect it. Maybe I'll get over to that side. If they struggle again against Dallas the same way, let's have a real discussion. But this one game, I'm not going as far as Kyle Shanahan can't develop quarterbacks and Kyle Shanahan should be fired. There's a gray area. There's a gray area between he's the best coach and he should be fired. I'm existing in the gray area.
Yeah.
He is not the best coach.
I'm with you.
He should not be fired.
I'm with both of those sentiments.
Come wade around in this gray area with us. There's plenty of space. We're hanging out.
I'd also say, like, look, this next week, it's a true test, right? The Cowboys are not nearly as bad as they have been this season. They're coming off a bye. Like, this is a team that can beat you. They're 3-3. Yeah. They have a better record than you do.
With the way the 49ers are playing right now, I don't know that there's a team in the league that when the 49ers play them, I'm like, W. The Patriots, probably. Maybe the Panthers.
You mean when the 49ers are playing them? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
That I feel like great about it. They're not playing good football right now.
No, that's true. But I think that they would beat the Raiders. I think they would beat the New York Giants. I think that they would beat, just going through a list, they would beat the Tennessee Titans. They'd beat the Jags.
Are we certain they'd beat the Jags?
Well, maybe not. I think they would beat the Jets. They certainly. Oh, they would beat the Browns. Like, whoever the Browns are throwing out there at quarterback.
Yeah. Whew. Yikes, man.
That thing got ugly this weekend.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. Here's a very layered thing here. I don't really care who it is. Cheering a player's injury stinks. Like, that sucks. If you want to be on the internet and be like, not pouring one out for Deshaun Watson, that's a bad guy. Okay. Like, I'm not. But actively cheering an injury doesn't sit right with me, regardless of who it is. But again, if that's your prerogative, go for it. What bothers me the most about this is Browns fans who were booing yesterday as he was being carted off the field. We're not booing him because of his off-field transgressions. I don't want to use the wrong word.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to the legal troubles that he's had involving women. Again, I don't want to misspeak, so I'm trying to be broad on purpose.
Well, I mean, Kyle, to make it easy, I don't think he's ever been convicted of an actual crime. Like, has he lost defamation suits. I mean, has he lost civil suits? Yes, but I don't think he's like.
I don't believe.
So I don't know how we
sure,
like, frame him.
But from the amount of account, like not a great dude.
Yeah,
okay.
No.
So if you want to, if that's why you're okay, but Browns fans were all about Deshaun Watson. You can go see people selling obscene T-shirts that supported Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
obscene signs at games supporting Deshaun Watson, and putting down victims.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where this fan base was, and not every single person, but it was there.
There was enough of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not booing because he's a bad guy. They're booing because he sucked at football.
Yes.
That's their problem. Their problem is that he got $230 million guaranteed dollars and then was ass. They're not that. So they're booing that. This isn't about, oh, he's a bad dude. Like, Deshaun Watson is not a victim here. I want to make that really clear. My issue is with Cleveland fan. Who's like, wait a minute. No, he stinks. Boo. Like, no, should have been there day one.
You should have been there.
Should have been there day one.
Should have been there day one. You should have been booing the acquisition. You should have been booing the contract he got. And like, look, like, it might not be anything to people out there, but the 49ers they wanted to
were in.
They were so in. And then it was like, oh no. This is who you are? No. We're not in anymore.
Yes.
We're not in. We're good.
Yeah. And the Browns went fully guaranteed $230. Let's do it.
We're in. You're like,
yes.
Oh, okay. That's a big guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Browns fall to the Bengals 21-14. It's Cleveland football talk for the day.
Oh, that's it.
That's what
it was a weekend of injuries, Kyle. Like I like watching the injuries like all week. Like, O'Connell.
The Jaden Daniels one is tough.
Oh yeah. Because that's ribs, right?
Yeah, I saw a report on it today that I had saved, but I did not see the full update.
I have not seen the full update either.
I'm gonna go find that for us right now. But yeah, he was one of several.
Yeah, that was a tough injury. Like I was just penciling him. Oh man, who else got hurt this weekend? There's a whole group of them, man. I even wrote them on the paper.
Yeah, you got Deshaun Watson. You got DK Metcalf had a knee thing.
Oh, that's right. He got carted off.
You got Brandon Ayuk. You had Aiden O'Connell. Tyler Huntley, I think, had a shoulder
injury for Huntley. Man, they're just like on their last. Well, they had Tim Boyle out there, and then it looks like Tua's back next week. Something like that.
Sounds like it.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, if that's what he wants, good for him, man.
Yeah. I guess I hate it. Yeah, the Ayuk injury, absolutely catastrophic for the 49ers. We don't have any confirmation yet. I don't believe, but Kyle Shanahan said last night that it was that the team believes it's an ACL tear.
Yeah,
and watching the replay, like as soon as I saw the hit from the side, I text you, oh no, he just tore his ACL.
Yeah, that looked bad.
Yeah. Like
and
you can see it.
It was such an odd because it looked in fast motion like he just got like the wind knocked out of him.
It just looked like a really, really hard hit from the side.
Yeah, like maybe got into it, like his shoulder into the chest.
Yeah,
and the way he was laying there is, oh, okay, he just got the wind knocked out of him. And then they show the one replay. Like, oh no.
Yeah. It's absolutely brutal.
And when here and again, hoping for the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Kyle Shanahan's supposed to talk with reporters at 3:30 today. And he should at that point have confirmation on the MRI. But when he said the exact same thing after the Jimmy Garoppolo injury in week 3 of the 2018 season, that we haven't confirmed, but we're fearing it's an ACL, and maybe it won't be. Like fingers crossed.
Yeah,
fingers crossed that it's something where he's out, 6 to 8 weeks, and he'll be back and he'll be good to go and all that. But also on Brandon Ayuk specifically, if it is the ACL and his season is over. This is why players hold in or hold out. Yeah. This is why players make such a big deal out of that contract. Because if Brandon Ayuk had stepped on the field and played on his 5th-year option, now his earning potential in next offseason plummets dramatically.
Just crushed him. Yeah, and I'll also say this. The hit that happened had nothing to do with any time that he missed. Like, that just happens. That's the NFL. And like, people should not get confused here. That has nothing to do with the time he missed.
Yeah.
Like, has he been a great receiver this year? No, he's had all kinds of issues. Even in that game, he dropped the ball that Brock Purdy dropped right over the top to him.
Best throw of the day.
Yeah, and no, he hasn't been great. But at the same time, like these things happen.
Trying to find deeper meaning in injuries is the worst thing. The guy's headhunting and okay, fine. But on a football play where receiver's running across, he makes the catch, safety comes down and hits him, knee buckles. It sucks. It is the worst part of sports. Mm-hmm. It happens, man.
I know there's
not more to it.
The Rashee Rice thing is crazy because they kept waiting and everyone's like, why are they not telling us what the injury is? And it ends up being not an ACL, it's a PCL. Yeah. He's still out 8 to 10 months, but it was a totally different injury that they didn't know. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
But it took an extra week to figure it out.
That's why you don't guess.
Yeah.
That's why you don't rush. All right. We'll have more. Speaking of injuries, there was a Kevin Herter question in the chatty house. We got Kings on Thursday.
Yeah.
We got NBA basketball tomorrow. Real life, regular season NBA basketball tomorrow. So we'll talk Kevin Herter and where he's at with his injury 3 days out from the Kings season opener. We'll get to that, and we'll have the handoff with one of D'Lo or Casey. I forget which one. In today in about 20 minutes. All right. He's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
Drew, this is the funniest thing. Mariota whooped up on the Panthers. Sorry, asses. That's what's so tough is that Mariota came in and just looked phenomenal.
Just cooked.
You're like, oh my gosh, look how good Marcus Mariota looks. And you're like, oh, but he's playing against a little league team. Like, he better be able to cook.
Yeah, but the wild thing with that is he was not in a space where he would have cooked anybody.
Yeah.
Except for the 49ers in week 6 of the week 6, 2022, when the Niners looked like they'd never defended a read option in their lives. That was tough. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk's not paying for anything with his injury.
Yeah.
I'm interested with the whole Guardian cap thing. Tua said he's not going to wear one. Soren noted that.
What?
So I would love to know, is it, because this is literally like, not like I'm just asking questions. I'm literally asking questions because I don't know.
Okay.
I would love to know if it's a comfort thing. Like, do you notice them? And it's just like, hey, I've played quarterback for so long with this type of helmet, and the Guardian cap throws off everything, and I can't play effectively with it. Or is it just purely an aesthetic thing? Because to be totally honest with you, the players who are wearing Guardian caps, I barely notice it. When they zoom in and it's like a close up on the player, it's really obvious. But on the zoomed out like game angle, I don't even notice.
You know, I talked about this once before. We're waiting for one team to just show up wearing them.
Yeah. And
just put it to rest. Just make it part of the NFL.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Miami Dolphins, if I'm his teammates, I'm saying, hey, can you get us 60 of these things, whatever they are? Like, everybody's wearing one this week. We're all wearing one. We're not doing this. Because if, like, we see it, even, like, the way that Jameis Winston, the way that he spoke after the game about Deshaun Watson, like, we can think whatever we want about these guys, but behind closed doors, they're teammates, they're a family, they're part of, like, you spend so much time with these people. And if I'm a teammate of Tua, my advice to him is please don't play again. But the second thing is, if you are going to play, put on the Guardian cap just to see. And Tua could say, my problem isn't getting hit in the head. My problem is that I snap back and am jarred in a different way. And maybe that's what his defense would be. But then put on, I know a quarterback doesn't put on a neck roll. Then put on a neck roll. Like, whatever it is you have to do to stop that from happening, and it just seems silly that they wouldn't put on a Guardian cap. So
I'm with you, but like Kyron in the chatty house said, like, how heavy are they? They don't look super heavy, but maybe they are. Like, maybe it's just like
it's super thin
disorienting
stuff. I don't know.
I
don't
don't know,
know.
man.
Yeah, Alfonso Valdez, throw a cowboy call on him. Yep.
That'd be incredible. I also don't know as a quarterback, does it get in the way of your, like, it shouldn't.
No.
It's not that.
No. Did you play football?
No.
Have you ever put on a helmet?
Yes.
But have you ever put on a helmet and played a sport?
Mhm.
Like, and actually played?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a big difference between putting on a helmet and like, oh, this thing's weird.
Yeah.
And running out and like moving with
There's a whole,
with
like,
the bouncing.
yeah. That's why you practice in a helmet.
Yeah. No, it's very similar to when you haven't played baseball forever and you're tracking a ball in the outfield that's coming at you and everything's going like this. Yeah, very similar to that.
I got on the 95.7 all-staff email list in San Francisco.
Yep.
Lots happening.
Uh-oh.
Just with nothing. Just my phone is blowing up with emails.
Kyron, I'm with you. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
That's James. I'm Kyle. No Mad Props today. Mad Props will take place Wednesday because we did the 49ers game up against the two NBA games on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers, Timberwolves, Celtics, Knicks is our two NBA games.
Oh, yeah.
Quick update. We had Brock Purdy passing yards or Lakers, Timberwolves total.
Yeah, that we're going to
212.
Get clubbed on that.
212 was Brock Purdy's passing yards. We had Patrick Mahomes pass attempts or Jason Tatum points. 27 pass attempts for Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. That's in range.
Jordan Mason rushing attempts or LeBron James field goal attempts. 14 rushing attempts. Jordan Mason. Niners Chiefs total or Celtics Knicks combined first quarter total. And again, we're trying to pick which number will be larger. 46 total points between the Niners and Chiefs.
Okay.
Right in the range, I think, for Celtics Knicks first quarter. Brandon Ayuk targets or Jaylen Brown 3-point attempts. Brandon Ayuk still had 6 targets.
Oof.
Despite only playing the first half.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be really close there. And then Fred Warner tackles or Anthony Davis rebounds. 8 tackles for Fred Warner. Should have been 9 on the Patrick Mahomes 33-yard run. Do you know how annoying that was? Like, there's nothing worse as a sports fan than great player doing great play against your team because the announcer just gushes over it.
Yeah.
We've had NFL Network on. They're showing the play over and over again. And I don't know where I land on this because I saw some people complaining that Mahomes like okey doke D Winters by making it look like he was going to go out of bounds, but then not. And players are worried about the 15 yards. I get that a little bit, but at the same time, you just wrap him up, man. Like, he didn't step out of bounds yet, and D Winters just way overran him.
But we all know that the first thing they're going to do is throw a flag. Like, if you're going to crush him on the sidelines, next time, crush him.
Okay, so here's that. I mean, that's kind of what the prevailing thought has been. Like, if you're going to make up you're going to pick up 15 yards, at least make it worth it, right?
Yeah, chuck him.
But I don't know how the NFL would officiate that. Like, Kenny Pickett did the fake slide at Pitt, right?
Yeah.
And they eliminated the fake slide. You can't fake slide anymore. Because if you don't remember that play, that obscure play in college football history, Kenny Pickett's in the open field and he's running and there's a defender bearing down on him. And Kenny Pickett stops, stutters as though he's going to slide and he starts to kind of put his foot out. And so the defender just stands up because he doesn't want to. And then Kenny Pickett stands up and keeps running.
Yeah.
And defender's like, hey, I can't touch him once he does.
Yeah, it's garbage.
So you can't fake slide. I don't know how the NFL would officiate that, though. Because that's just stop, gonna hit the brakes, fly right by. Shout out Maverick. But that's kind of what he's doing there. But also it looks like he's stopping to step out of bounds.
But he does it all the time.
I know. So I don't know. You can't.
And
you can complain about it.
First guy to get up looking for it.
Yeah, you can complain about it all you want, but there's not. What are you going to say, that if a quarterback stops running, the play's dead? But then how do you go, oh, did his feet stop moving? Was his forward progress stopped? You can't officiate that because he becomes a runner in that instance. Yep. And if running back does that, it's just a sick move. Mm-hmm. So that's where I can't. Fred Warner's got to make the tackle to begin with.
No, I agree, but I'd also like your D Winters, you're going to get that call. He's right. He's going to get that call.
Yeah, I know. I don't. I get it, mm-hmm. But also I don't know if I thought there was if Mahomes fake slid, I would very easily get on air today and be like, "Yo, you can't do that. You can't fake slide. If you can't be touched after you slide, you can't fake slide." And if there was a solution, but I don't have a solution for that. Like, that's just,
and you know,
there's a little bit of a loophole and he's taking advantage.
Even if you tried to go in and not just crush him, mm-hmm. And you didn't do the big push, so he flies out of bounds, and you just went in and just popped him, mm-hmm. There's a good chance he's going to step out right before, and you're still going to get there's no winning in that situation.
No.
And I don't know what the league is going to do about it. They're not going to do anything about it because they're going to protect Patrick Mahomes.
They're going to protect every quarterback.
Yeah,
man. There's just, like you said, I guess you just run up and you hit him, and you hope that either there's no flag or the 15 yards is worth it. Mm-hmm. Tough. Just annoying. Like, I get why Giants fans hate Shohei Ohtani. Like, of course.
Yeah.
He's everywhere, and he's on the team you hate the Jesus, excuse me. He's on the team you hate the most.
Uh-huh.
But he's going to be around. So Patrick Mahomes, I have to watch scamper down the sideline rest of my life. Pump fake. Wow, look at the way he uses a pump fake. All right. Tom Brady credited him yesterday with seeing in 3D. That's what we're doing now? God, it's like he sees in 3D out there. Yep.
Especially in the red area,
That's
Kyle.
How it goes, Tom. That's how it goes. So there's one eye is two-dimensional, but the two eyes together form an image that's three-dimensional. Yeah, we all do that. I had a Chiefs fan reply, because I pointed that out on the internet, and I had a Chiefs fan reply to me and say, actually, there's context. Seeing in 3D in the football sense means seeing the plane vertically and also horizontally. And that's it's like, bro, you just described seeing in 3D. That's 3D. That's what seeing in 3 dimensions is.
Yeah.
Oh, but in a football context, there's no football context. It's just 3D. Yeah, I see on this plane and this plane and this plane. Depth. God, it's like he sees 3D out there. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
This is brilliant stuff. Also, Tom Brady yesterday trying to navigate being a team owner and not criticizing other players.
Oh.
I did not. I actually thought not being like in production meetings and stuff might have actually helped him. Oh. Because he leaned a lot more on like his career. And I want to know what Tom Brady thinks of this situation. Like, Tom Brady, the GOAT, what would you do in this spot? Mm-hmm. What is the offense going through right now? They're on the sideline. They just threw an interception. What's the quarterback doing on the sideline right now? Like, that's what I want to know from Tom Brady. And I thought he did a really nice job of that yesterday. But on one of the Purdy interceptions, I think it was the Ronnie Bell one.
Yeah.
But he said this a couple times because he can't be like, that's a terrible throw. So he was like, that's a below average throw. Or that's a not okay. Like, listening to him dance around.
Not a very good throw.
Listening to him dance around criticizing another player or on a player on another team.
I know I heard that very specifically, and it was like such a Captain Obvious moment.
Yes.
And that's what they've made him into. Yes. And it was like, okay, man. So first of all, you're not Dan Marino with a gun, right? Yeah. Like, so it's funny because Tom Brady made a career out of making perfect throws at perfect moments, but they were never like a laser. They were never the perfect, like
later in his career, his arm strength got better as he went along.
It did. But like Russell Wilson in his prime threw like the greatest deep ball.
Yeah.
You know,
It still does.
And you know, you look at Dan Marino or the Jeff Georges of the world that just have these cannons, or you watch the way that that Josh Allen rolls out and throws a laser.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes does all the crazy stuff, right? Well, that wasn't Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like one of the best nuts and bolts passers of all time. Short, mid-range, you know, nothing too deep. You know, like that's where he lived. And so I think it was really difficult too to criticize right there because all right, man. Like, yeah, you've won a bunch of Super Bowls. You're the greatest quarterback statistically ever. You won more Super Bowls than anyone else. But at the same time, you also don't have like the raw skills that some of these other guys have.
Yeah, but if you miss a throw, you miss a throw.
Oh no, totally. Yeah.
I also reject the idea, but Dan Orlovsky said this the other day on ESPN that he can't criticize Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Oh yeah, he can criticize away. Yeah.
Like, bro, that's your job.
Yeah, it's his job.
Literally your job.
Yeah. Yeah, don't run out of the back of the end zone on this one, Dan.
If you Dan Orlovsky believe that you can't criticize any player who's more accomplished than you or better than you, stop talking NFL.
Yeah. It's over.
Like
your career's over.
You were a low tier backup.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
literally your career highlight is you running out of the back of the end zone.
That is why you are a notable NFL player.
Yes. It's the only reason anyone knows your name at all as an NFL player.
Well, I can't criticize Aaron Rodgers. Yes, you can.
Yes.
Literally your job because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Dan. You're on TV. Tell us what you think. But yeah, Tom Brady. That's a below average throw. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Really good stuff. Really good stuff there. I want to shift gears and talk some NBA briefly. I see the Chatty House requesting Kenny Caraway for the handoff. I have let Kenny know that his presence is being requested.
Oh,
so hopefully we'll get Kenny Caraway here for the handoff in a minute. But what's the deal? The Kings are what's the deal? The Kings are 3 days out from their season opener against the Timberwolves here at Golden One Center. Kevin Huerter update. Where are we at with Kevin Huerter 3 days out? Because Mike Brown, after practice on Friday, made it sound like he's not doing a ton.
It does. Yeah. Okay. So we saw Trey Lyles on the court, and Mike looked over and goes, "Oh, well, that's new. He's over there playing against Jawad." He's like, and he made a joke about Jawad Williams. He said, "Yeah,
he thinks he's still a player.
He thinks he's still a player over there, and Trey's over there doing his thing, right?" He's like, "But that's the first time I've seen that." So that was the one-on-one, right? I sure do think that he's got to the point where he should be at practice. Like they have, they'll practice. Well, technically they're not practicing today. They didn't yesterday. They had Fan Fest, and on Saturday they did not practice. They took a day off. Very strange to see this build up to the season where you have 3 days in a row where they're not like in full-fledged practice, but that's, whatever. I don't care. They may even practice today and just not invite us, right? Because they had Fan Fest yesterday. Yeah. Technically, they're not supposed to do that, but they could say it's a film study day or they're just shooting today or whatever.
Sure.
The next couple of days, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, well, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to get these guys and we'll know whether Kevin Huerter may or may not play on Thursday. But it sure does feel like his return to play might be like
it feels like it's way further out than 3 days.
Yeah, he looks physically fit to play, but it kind of feels like it might not be the first week of the season or something. But but I don't know. Like we'll get to the bottom of it the best we can in the coming days. But I also would not be totally shocked to see Kevin Huerter like roll in the mid first quarter and check into the game on Thursday night. So I just think it's interesting.
He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. It is time for the handoff. Kenny Caraway of D-Lo and KC is in the building. Kenny, your presence was requested by the Chatty House. Let's get you.
Okay.
Let's get you.
It's not like I don't have a radio show, but it's okay.
No, I know you're about to talk for 4 hours.
Yeah,
we got to hear from Kenny now.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Yeah.
So I'll let Chatty House. What questions do you have for Kenny? Because I don't.
I'm assuming they want to talk football.
Yeah, like that Steelers Jets game was crazy.
I got a story about that. We'll get into that at some point. Shout out Prize Pick. Use the keyword
what?
That's KIFM. You know what I mean? Go check that out, man. Yeah.
Kyle. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm just saying, man. Look,
Niners look bad yesterday, man. Here's the crux of kind of the discussion we've been having today. You'll be shocked to find out TC called in. And on the
don't call us no
on the
more.
Elk Grove Kia talk line 916-909-1320.
DC don't call us no more, man. He mad because I don't feed into his Kyle Shanahan propaganda.
He's over there. A bunch of the chatty house are over there. They are saying now, based on yesterday's game, that Kyle Shanahan cannot develop quarterbacks.
That's laughable, as you can see.
Okay,
that's laughable.
But they stunk yesterday.
They weren't good yesterday.
They weren't
good yesterday. I'm not as tough on them as maybe you were. I was listening earlier. I don't think they stunk yesterday. I thought the defense was. Defense
was fine.
I mean, that's part of the team, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean. So if the defense was cool, by virtue, they can't stink. You know what I mean?
They basically lost 28-12.
Huh?
They lost like 28-12.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, but like I said, I thought the defense was okay yesterday. I'm not saying they were great or they were dumb. They weren't the Chiefs defense, but I thought they were okay. I thought they gave them a chance to win.
I thought that was a C defensive effort. Pretty average.
Right.
Pretty average.
I might give them a B-. I thought they gave them a chance to win. They turned the ball over twice.
Yeah.
They from middle of the second quarter to middle of the third quarter, they got 3 and outs. They got the offense back on the field. They gave them an opportunity. Combine that with what they did in the first quarter when I thought they gave them a chance too. I thought the defense, maybe the bar was low for me, my expectations for this defense, but I thought they competed yesterday.
Yeah, I thought so too, for sure. Offensively though, worst game of Brock's career for me. Not even close.
It was
way worse than the Christmas game against the Ravens.
Yeah, he had a bad day.
Yeah,
bad day by Brock Purdy, man, and that's really, to me, that's really the X factor. I don't know if they would have won or not. I'm not saying that, but I mean the 3 turnovers. That was the X factor for me. Especially 2 of those turnovers. Actually, all 3 of those turnovers being in Chiefs territory.
Yes,
you're taking points off the board in a game where you're going up against what I think is the best defense in football. Every opportunity you have to put points on the board, you have to take advantage. And all 3 turnovers in their territory. Now, the first one, I mean, maybe if they get a first down or run for 8 yards, maybe it's a long field goal or something like that. But the other 2 are right there. At the very least, you're in field goal range. Yeah. And to take points off the board all 3 times, it just can't happen.
That's kind of where I buy into this idea. And we talked about this a little bit on Friday, James. But this idea that the Chiefs have this like ownership over the Niners, right? And I think that's where you see it manifest in Brock trying to do too much from the 5 on a 3rd and 1, where it's like, dude, throw that out the back of the end zone, take your field goal, be down 6, try and get an extra point. His first interception after getting the turnover on downs, like there's no window there. That's just trying to do too much. And that's what I think happened yesterday is the Chiefs are in the Niners' heads to this point that, man, they're second guessing this, or they're trying to make too big of a play here. And now the Chiefs get them off their game by stepping on the field. And that to me is where like the ownership factor comes in.
I mean, yeah, maybe so. But this is one of the things that I talked about last week. Like when people were talking about, it's a big game. I was against that notion on Monday. This was not a big game. This game wasn't going to do anything that you needed it to do. It wasn't going to win you a Super Bowl. It wasn't going to make you not have problems against the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like we talked about when you came in, you could beat the Chiefs yesterday and then lose the next 5. What does that do? You know what I mean? So it wasn't what I thought it was built up to be. I still think they look at that situation as they could beat them. The other thing that I looked at is this 49ers team before the things that happened during the game, they weren't ready to beat the Chiefs yesterday.
That's the problem.
They weren't a good enough. But when I say that, I'm talking personnel wise.
Really?
They're not where they were at when going into that game and before Debo went down, before Ayuk went down. You didn't have Juwan Jennings or Christian McCaffrey. You're not ready to go up against that team.
But but that team's missing players too.
What they missing on defense?
Well, no, but
that's
the
best defense
side.
But that's the best defense. That's how you beat the 49ers with defense.
Yeah.
You don't beat them with offense. You beat them with defense. I've been clear with that from the start. And the Chiefs have it. The Chiefs got it. Sure. The Ravens had it. That's how you beat them. And they didn't have no issues on the defensive end. That's the best defense in football, and they didn't have no injuries there. And that's how you beat them. You want to get in a shootout with the Niners? Go right ahead. I'll take my chances with the Niners and Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy and all this other stuff. If you're going to let them run up and down the field, I'll take my chances with the offense. That's not how you beat the 49ers. You beat them with the defense. The Chiefs have that formula. So when I talk about not being ready, you need all your offensive pieces to go up against that defense, and they didn't have it coming into the game. And that's interesting. If you paid attention to me all week, I wasn't confident about that game because they're not ready. They're not in a place right now to beat that Chiefs team. Yeah. And then it just manifested with like you're already not in a place to beat that team. And then you turn the ball over 3 times. Yeah. And then you have no shot.
Yeah. Well, between the turnovers and the same thing we keep talking about, the ridiculously bad special teams play. Like, again, like how every single week there is a ridiculously horrific special teams play. They missed an extra point. And not only that, but the kick return, but like
punt return,
the punt return. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Chiefs make it 7-3. Niners, I believe, went 3 and out, and then the Chiefs get a 55-yard punt return down to the 30.
Well, the other part
like that's just
that can't happen. But what preceded the punt? I mean, that was a huge sequence. I mean, Brandon Ayuk might have scored.
Yes,
that was the play. Like he drops that, and then you punt, and that happens. Whatever case, you're behind the 8 ball. That was tough. I mean, special teams. There's the question I'll ask today, because a lot of people look at it as excuse or whatever. When do good players matter?
All of the time.
So if you don't have good players, are you still expected to perform the same way? Like if you don't, like yesterday, I know Brock was bad. And his interceptions, I don't think had anything to do with the personnel around him. But you said earlier, the 49ers look like the JV squad. That was the JV squad. Like that was the JV squad. No, they didn't go to the game with varsity.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just asked the question, when does it matter? When do the good players matter? Like when do we expect Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers to – like, do we expect them to perform the same way with the JV squad?
Not the same way, but I expected Brock Purdy specifically, a player who's going to make $60+ million, to be better than he was. I thought he was abominable yesterday outside of the personnel.
He was bad. No, I agree.
And
I agree.
That was before Brandon Ayuk went down.
I agree.
That's kind of the larger problem for me.
I agree. And real quick, the kicker was also the third kicker. He was off the street. I saw him over on. I saw him on Florham Road earlier last week.
I
saw him on Florham Road. Yeah.
Crazy.
So a PAT is nothing.
But on their third kicker, because kickers got hurt having to cover kicks.
Yeah,
they were going to be longer turns. Anyways, D'Lo and KC coming up next. I'm sure more Niners, WNBA finals.
Yes,
some World Series stuff.
Yeah. Go Yanks.
D'Lo and KC coming up next. That's James Ham, Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. Back tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Until then, drink water, be nice to people. See ya.